Chapter 2 Registration of Not-for-Profit Entities Part 2-1 Registration Division 20 Object of this Part 20-5 Object of this Part Tax Concessions 1. This part provides for the Commissioner to register entities as particular types and subtypes of not-for-profit entities. It also provides for the Commissioner to revoke the registration of registered entities. 2. Such registration is a prerequisite for an entity to access certain Commonwealth tax concessions. The object of this part is to ensure that these tax concessions are available only to entities that are governed and regulated in accordance with this Act. Other concessions 3. Registration under this Act may also be a prerequisite for other exemptions, benefits, and concessions provided under other Australian laws. Division 25 Entitlement to Registration 25-1 Simplified Outline The following is a simplified outline of this division. A not-for-profit entity is entitled to registration under this Act as a type of entity if certain conditions are satisfied. A not-for-profit entity is entitled to registration under this Act as a subtype of entity if certain conditions are satisfied, including that the entity is registered as a type of entity. (25-5) Entitlement to registration. 1. An entity is entitled to registration as a type of entity if a. It meets the conditions in subsection 3 and b. It meets the description of that type of entity in column 1 of the table in subsection 5 and c. If the entity has previously been a registered entity, but its registration as a type of entity has been revoked, the Commissioner is satisfied that the matter which leads to the revocation have been dealt with such that the registration of the entity would not conflict with the object of this Act. Note: Registration of an entity mentioned in paragraph C has effect from the time of registration. See section 30-30. It does not rescind the revocation of the previous registration. 2. An entity is entitled to registration as a subtype of entity if a. It meets the conditions in subsection 3 and b. It meets the description of that subtype of entity in column 2 of the table in subsection 5 and c. It is entitled to registration as the type of entity that corresponds to that subtype of entity as set out in that table and d. It is registered as that type of entity.